There's the door. Hey. Uh-oh. I'm the host. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Here we go again.
Why is it so glitchy, Jay?
Speaking to me or the public relations?
Jay. You hear me, Jay? He can't even hear me.
Yeah, that lollipop up.
Mary Quinn, you're sharing this one, right? Mary Quinn, can you hear me?
Nobody can hear us?
Can you hear me, Zena?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Jay, can you hear me? Jay. I don't even know if you can see me.
He's tearing that lollipop up, though. Oh, boy. Jay, call him. Tell Jay to put a wrap on that lollipop because he enjoyed the lollipop more than he responded. What would you like for me to do? I'm the second co-host. Where am I at?
What would you like to do, dear?
I like to go to sleep. I'm eating junk. I got grapes. I got crackers. I got some yogurt. I got water. I'm doing whatever. I'm just jumping right on in there.
Yeah. You're doing a great job too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Y'all see I'm a mother. A cat could put up everything because I think I have it. Hey, mother. Uh-oh, we can't hear you neither.
It's your turn to screen share now.
Oh, Lord, she done dropped the bomb on me. Let me find it.
Everybody's done it but you. It's your turn now.
All right.
He said I've been doing, oh, can you get that? Because my screen done dropped and I can't let nobody in. Let me find it, girl. I'm ready to pass it on to you. He said, you're doing a good job, Zane. I said, oh, hell, look at my sponsor.
I'm doing screen sharing. I want to do the hosting for a while. Let me do the screen sharing. I don't mind.
Okay, what do I do to host? Yes.
You just spotlight the speakers and that's pretty much it. Spotlight the speakers and turn it on and off, turn them on and off, spotlight, just make sure if the chair's talking, the chair has a spotlight. When the chair's not talking, you can turn it off.
That's what a host do?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Because what I'm noticing being that with the other format of reading, there have been readings, but they ain't completing the whole format, like speak for 25 to 30 minutes, Right. Like all the reading, they just say the speaker name and what the topic is. And I'm not perfect, but I figure so. I'm trying to find step 8 and 9. Oh, there you go.
I got it. I got it. So I'll share it. No problem.
I got it too, so it don't matter. If you need to step away, Mike.
Yeah, you like get out of the way.
If you need to step away, you said you need to do that dog walk.
If my dog behind me starts growling, that means I've got to run.
Okay. Or you're going to have some work to do.
Let me know. But
yes.
Let you know I don't have much time.
Okay.
Because behind the scene, I think there's somebody else, Mary Quinn, possibly. No, checking in on the speakers.
I'm here.
Hey,
yeah, we see you. Hey,
present.
Yeah,
you're gonna get a star by your name. You were the first one here.
I won.
We have a speaker scheduled for this named Kimber that I texted earlier, and she never answered my text. I don't know if she's going to show up or not.
Okay, so how are we going to pivot if she doesn't?
Sounds like you, Mary Quinn.
That sounds like me to ask that question.
No, it sounds like you to have to fill in.
Hey, she got away
I'm
from
the
that quick.
chair.
She's smart.
Oh, I can share. I know how to read. I can share. You can share.
Someone coming in who might be a good substitute just in case.
Yeah, I can share. You can share.
I'm happy to share. Like, I'm just know I'll do whatever we need to do. I can pray and
Really, my rent is late. Can I get your credit card number?
Now that I will not co-sign.
Hello, whom's ever in here. I'm just not healthy some days. Some moments I just like to have.
I am not doing that one.
Pat, you have a great voice.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really soothing.
It's what a lot of people say.
Oh, that's so cool.
Thank you.
I love her.
I love you too.
Hey, Jay, you can hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Where that pink lollipop go? Oh, man, you was getting it in. Where that lollipop go?
I was all over that thing.
I know.
I was saying, Jay, can you hear me?
It didn't stand it. Oh, you could hear it? I'm sorry. I was eating my anxiety.
I see.
Okay.
You was like,
and it was tasty.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were at it.
Oh, I'm crazy.
you don't hear you, but he's showing out in love on that ice, that lollipop. Hey, everybody, welcome.
You heard that commercial? How many licks does it take to get to the center?
The Tootsie Roll.
Mike, Jeff will be here shortly. I just got off the phone with him.
Okay.
And I could not get in touch with Kim Bray either. I've been texting her since yesterday.
Yeah, I
got it
this morning and no response. So
we got it covered.
You might have to talk about steps 8 and 9, George.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
And he said that he probably left. No, he ain't leave.
No, but I do gotta go. I got 2 folks in the other workshop. Jeff's my buddy. We talk every day. Y'all should love him. He's a good guy.
We got it covered, George.
We got Mary Queen.
Hit me up.
Okay.
You praying, Mary Quinn?
What am I spotting Mike again? I should be paying attention.
So what are you wanting to do, Zena?
You got the host, correct?
The what?
The host.
You go host? Okay.
I'm gonna chair. Mary Quinn's gonna cover Kimber.
Okay.
Kimberly.
And I'm gonna go take a nap.
No, you're gonna put up the ratings.
I knew it.
Look, until your dog says otherwise.
I knew that. I knew it was coming. This is nap time for him.
Really?
He's not kidding.
Man, nap.
That's why you're here, right, Jay?
I'm willing to help, dude. I'm willing to help until I forget the next
meeting start. It's 3:31. Let's have one.
Oh, okay.
What's going on in Augusta?
3:31.
All right, put up the readings.
Well, I'm gonna back out of here for a minute.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I'll be right back. I won't be gone long.
Well, okay then.
Since Jay's the host.
No, I'm gave it to Kat.
Oh, no, y'all didn't.
But is Mike supposed to do it?
No, I'm gonna be the chair. I'm gonna do the reading. Mike was gonna put up the readings.
Okay, make me the host and I'll help out. I didn't mean to push it off. I was having this
here.
Make me a co-host, mother. I'm willing to help.
I'm the host. Wait a minute, who's host?
You are.
Oh, really? Oh, my bad. Oh, wait a minute. Y'all moving around too much for me. Wait a minute.
18.
Wait a minute. Wait.
I love no.
Hey,
He
Teresa.
didn't make nobody the host before he left.
y'all.
He just went away. Wait a minute. Okay, Jay. All right. No, not Teresa. Where's the thing keep jumping? Oh, wait. No, he didn't.
I left.
Oh, it still keeps
honoring,
stop that.
honoring the
Okay, I see
tradition
them.
about ever being organized.
We were
Mother.
until a few seconds ago. Oh, I know how to do this. That's how you do that. Okay, I'm ready, Jay. My bad.
No problem. You're good.
Mother?
Jay's putting up the reading.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Well, I have them in front. Oh.
Do you?
Yeah, I thought, Mother, you was reading the format.
I am, but Jay's gonna put it up.
But the readings is in the format, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Everything's in the format.
Oh.
I just have to find it because I wasn't.
I have it, Jay. Let me do it. I got it.
Okay. Thanks, Ian.
I mean, I'm gonna try to multitask.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you.
Here we go.
Okay, great. All right, everybody. Welcome to GRCNA 39.5. New possibilities arise.
This is
that the right one?
That one's for tonight, the main speaker tonight.
That's the main speaker. We want steps 8 and 9.
We're going to find yours, honey, because I guess I just thought I had some stuff going on. Y'all, please forgive us. We're gonna make sense of this sooner or later.
Let me find
It do say step it 8 and 9.
Really?
But didn't it say Friday speaker?
Okay, so welcome to GRCNA 39.5, guys. New possibilities arise. There are certain housekeeping things we need to take care of. Do realize that you are on camera and being recorded. If you do not wish to be so, please darken your screen or turn your camera off so that you will not be seen. I am so winging this, waiting on y'all to put that up.
I know I hit the right one.
I got it.
Put it. Okay, great. Great. All right. My name is Kat and I am an addict. We want to welcome you again to GRCNA 39.5, New Possibilities Arise, and welcome to our workshop on steps 8 and 9 regarding our anonymity. When joining a virtual meeting, you will need to keep your video turned off to guarantee your anonymity. If you turn your video on, you are choosing to be seen by the other participants.
Diversity.
You can also change your name or switch to first name plus last initial to protect your identity.
Let me see who's.
Scroll up, Jay. Jay, scroll up. He's trying to multitask, guys.
Okay, so that's probably supposed to be mine.
Jay, scroll up.
I had to jump on mics. Let's see. So what? Let me. Are you guys up and running, or are you saying you need? Okay, let me resolve that, and I will hit you back real quick. All right, man.
Oops. Scroll up, Jay. Jay, we need you to scroll up here to the next screen before you go to that other problem-solving thing.
Did I mess you guys up?
Yes.
I am so sorry.
I found it now.
No problem. We know you're trying to multitask. Just need the second screen now.
I found it.
You're viewing your browser, Jay.
You got it, Z? All right, put it up. All right, scroll on up. On up. All right, great. Let's open this meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for those who care to join. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Again, welcome to Georgia Region's first virtual convention, GRCNA 39.5, New Possibilities Arise. Our intention for this virtual convention is to make available to our fellowship a weekend of recovery, celebration, and fun. We hope that all addicts receive the NA message of recovery while they are participating in this event. It is our hope that the message we carry may truly let everyone know that NA is a place to recover and that no addict seeking recovery need die from addiction. Workshop participation guidelines. Please dress appropriately on camera. Please keep your microphone on mute unless you are asked to unmute by the host or a co-host. If you have a question or need general assistance during the workshop, please contact the host or one of the co-hosts via direct message in the chat. If there is time after our workshop speakers finish, participants may have an opportunity to share their experience, strength, and hope on the workshop topic. If you would like to share after the speakers are finished, please raise your virtual hand. Your virtual hand can be raised by going to the reactions window on your computer or by going to the more section on your phone. You will be called on to share and unmuted or asked to unmute yourself by one of the hosts if time permits. Please limit such shares to 3 to 4 minutes. I have asked Teresa to read the how it works. Teresa? Unmute yourself, dear.
Okay.
Thank you.
How it works. If you want what we have to offer and are willing to make the effort to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. These are the principles that made our recovery possible. 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, we made a certain and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrong. 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continue to take personal inventory when we was wrong, promptly admitted. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Thank you.
Thank you so much for reading, Teresa. And I've asked Ray H. to come and read the 12 traditions of NA. Ray, thank you.
Hey, my name is Ray. I'm a grateful recovering addict.
Hey, Ray.
These are the 12 traditions of NA. We keep what we have only with vigilance. As freedom for the individual comes from the 12 steps, so freedom for the group springs from our traditions. As long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that would tear us apart, all will be well. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on NA unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3, the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or NA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. 6, an NA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the NA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, or prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every NA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Narcotics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, NA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Narcotics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need to always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. And 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. Thanks for letting me read.
Thank you for reading, Ray. Thank you. Our first speaker for today will be Mary Quinn. Mary Quinn, where are you, Mary Quinn? She'll share for 25 to 30 minutes. Mary Quinn.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mary Quinn. I'm an addict.
Hey, Mary Quinn.
Happy today. Happy just for today. And congratulations on your recovery. I just need to take a moment. I've been taking a few moments for about the past 10 minutes since I found out I would be sharing. And what a gift it is. I've actually don't know that I have ever spoken on these 2 steps. And I was sitting and, saying a prayer, and I put my hands like this when I'm in a prayer. It brought me into my heart. And the truth is, I did not have that capability before I worked these steps. Specifically 8 and 9. I was sharing with a friend yesterday. He said, you got to get out of your head and into your heart. And I know how to do that today. But it occurred to me, I was like, applying that honesty, I said, can I ask you a question? Do you live in your heart? Do you live there? Is that where you reside from? Is that a thing for people, or did you have to try? Because I don't know. And what Narcotics Anonymous has taught me is when I don't know, I can ask questions. And he was like, who, me? Oh, no. I don't really ever, I'm rarely in my heart, but good share, right? So it was fun times. Not what we're here to talk about today. So steps 8 and 9. For me, and I know we have had phenomenal speakers up to this point. I really want to thank Karen S., who's on this meeting, because I've heard your story before, but I got to hear it, in a different time, and it really was very impactful. So thank you. And for those of you who have been able to join, we've been coming up the ladder of the steps at this point, and we just left 6 and 7, and we're now in 8 and 9. We'll be going to 10, 11, 12 in about an hour and a half. And I can't talk about 8 and 9 without talking about 6 and 7. That's not possible. That's not a thing. Because if I don't know what my character defects are, which I can't unless I've worked 4 and 5, to be honest, and I am not entirely ready to have them be removed, there is, for me, just for me, and I am an anomaly in many ways, but for me, there is no way for me to garner the humility and the willingness to approach an 8th step. I just can't of my own accord. I'll try to think myself into it. I'll try to think it and maybe do an exercise of some sort with me, not with you. Because, with me and me, we come up with some amazing things. None are generally based in reality, and none generally take action. And so step 8 in that action step, when we think about the 8th step, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Will I make amends to them? I don't know yet. That's not this step. This step is about making a list and becoming willing. And I believe for me, if it said became willing to make amends to all the people I'm about to make a list for, I'd probably try to do it backwards. There's a micro segment within the step. So I make the list and then I work on the willingness because I need to see those names. And my experience has been, I can't work any step without a sponsor, but I sure as you cannot work an 8-step without a sponsor and a support network. Let's just be clear. Because I need an objective perspective to be able to look at that list with me, who knows me and who knows my fourth and who's heard my 5th step. For me, I needed someone who had heard my 5th step and it helped me to identify the exact nature of my wrongs. Because for me, I don't really believe, I mean, I've got the same character defects most other humans being, just in different proportions at different times, right? Bottom line, it's not tricky. But what led me to take those actions has been really intense. And I'll be really honest with you guys. Like, I've been working the spiritual principles, which is really interesting, since January. I worked steps for about, I'm really bad with time, but for about the past 5 to so many years. And my clean date is November the 26th, 2005. Just FYI, I forgot to qualify. And I'm an addict. I couldn't stop. I found Narcotics Anonymous and overnight I stopped. It's weird. So that's kind of what happened, right? Like that's the where I was chaos. I hurt myself all the time. All the time. Because I didn't, I abandoned me is the bottom line. And when I abandon me, then I seek what I need for me from you. And when I abandon me, I abandon my higher power. Because for me, my higher power moves through me. So when I leave me, it's me, a finite resource that of a logical mind is going to try to find power somewhere. And I look around parallel because my eyes work like this. I don't know, yours might work up and down, but mine work laterally. I look around for power sources and I see these people. And maybe they have all different names. But a lot of times, I could have sworn that was my mom or my dad. Didn't look like them. But maybe they could help me. Maybe he could help me. And so I would take and take and take. And I'll be honest with you, where I'm coming up to is the fact that as I come up, I've been working humility we just finished working on humility. Like, what an intense thing to work on, you guys. Like, no lie. Like, it was like guts. Like, January and February, I pretty much felt like I was going to puke all the time or jump out the window. It was really intense and nothing was going on the outside. But you better believe I made up a bunch of stories there was. So the truth is I fell into some of those old patterns of looking to them, they, this, and that to give me power. Because why? Because I abandoned me. And the grace of this program is that as I come back up on this, who knows how many rounds of the steps in this iteration, and we're moving to love is our next topic. The bulk of this 8 and 9 gave me the ability to live freely on the planet, a human being amongst human beings. So let's circle back. So I make the list, right? I make the list to the best of my ability. The last list I made, my sponsor had me cross out about half of the because she said, that's not harm. Like, you didn't do anything. You might have really thought it in your head, but you didn't do it. They don't know. And that was really challenging for me this time because of the spiritual nature of this program, I think, to be honest. Because I set expectations on myself to be a carrier of this message that we have been given. And when I fall short, I forget that too is carrying a message, if that makes any sense. that too is carrying a message that I didn't pick up that day, even if I didn't live to my standards. And so I cross off half the names on the list. I forget myself. I put me on it, right? Always forgetting myself. And then we move into like so what's the plan here? So what does amends look like? Because, and here's the thing, it doesn't say we became ready contingent on what the amends were going to entail. Like, if it's just like, I can donate to charity and not pay back the entire amount I stole, I'm good. But if you think over time, I'm going to pay all that back, I'm not really sure about that. So it says entirely ready. So I got to know, why am I doing this? Like, I got to be honest with you guys. Just as a project, I cannot muster the wherewithal to become entirely ready. So this step involved a ton of prayer, a ton of experience, strength, and hope from other addicts, a ton of communication with my higher power and with my sponsor. And as I will say over and over again, and I wish he was here, I have the coolest sponsee in the world. I have a lot of cool sponsees, but I have one who's on an 8th step right now. And I didn't have time to ping her because I didn't know I was going to talk. But as I told her time and time again, when I show up for a step shows up for me. My higher power shows up for me. So I don't need to know how it works. I don't need to have a finite moment where I consciously in my mind say, I'm ready. I need willingness. And what's the willingness to do? To take the next right action. And what is that next right action? Move on to the 9th step. Once I have completed my list, reviewed it with my sponsor, and gone through all that prayer, all that research, all that everything, but I'm scared. I mean, shoot, if I didn't do anything because I was scared, I wouldn't do anything. So, we say do it afraid. And so that's what I did. And then we moved to the 9th step. And this is where, I get down to the nitty gritty of the columns and becoming clear on like, okay, so what kind of harm was this? Was this a direct harm, a financial harm? Was this an indirect harm? Is it amends appropriate? Is it not appropriate? If it is appropriate, is it possible? There are people on my list. There were people and have been people on my list, such as my grandparents who I lived with and took massive amounts of advantage of, that had passed away. And so it needed to be a different kind of amends. And so I get a plan. Once again, for those who just joined, did I get a plan with me and me? No. I had a meeting with my sponsor, the great, amazing woman, and I've had many women in my life, but I'm thinking of one particular, who helped me outline a plan of how I would make amends on each of those. And it's interesting. Some people, and I see this in all areas of life, some people like to do the hard stuff first, and some people like to do the easy stuff first. And there is no wrong way to do it. Like, I literally Googled who invented the Nike "Just Do It" quote last night because it's been like ringing in my ears. And I was like, who was the miracle that came up with that? Because it's brilliant. Like, and that's another story. I did find the answer if you want to talk to me offline. But with that being said, then it became about, okay, so how am I going to go about this? And once again, the steps helping me, some people literally just appeared in my life. A chance phone call from someone I went to high school with the first time I worked the steps. This round, it was 2 rounds of steps ago. a young woman who I probably, I was on the fence about if I owed an amends to, and it turned out, interestingly, you guys, I owed an amends to myself on this one. But I randomly go to the farmer's market, and I just about physically ran into her. I mean, Zoom. Hadn't seen her in years. And then I do it one at a time. You know, the just for today works in many iterations. And if I can become willing to just do that one thing, that one amends, what happened for me is that from that amends, to be clear, and this is from a different sponsor, what she said is, what you say, Mary Quinn, is I was wrong. And that's all. And then you let that person say what they need to say if they need to say anything. That's it. Not any reason, no, just I was wrong. And that has been really powerful. And what has happened when I have done that, in combination with two tangible tools that I use. One is pray before and after. The other is call someone before and after. Usually it's my sponsor, but if I, like, for some reason couldn't get her, I will check in with another addict before and after, if I know I'm about to like a scheduled amends. If not, I can pray in the moment. What happens, and what has happened to me through this, is that I have gained the willingness to do the next one. I've gained power, not of me working through me. And there are some of those, and this has been the hard part for, and I think some of you in this room maybe can relate. When I get going, I want to check them all off. And some of them are not right now. And I need to become okay with that, because this isn't about me. So what has happened as a result of working this 8th and 9th step is that I have the freedom to walk as a human amongst humans, a worker amongst workers. Just another bozo on the bus, as a friend of mine says. Which, I mean, I liked Bozo the Clown, so I don't really have a problem with that. But and then I am ready to approach my life. Because y'all, we're moving into 10. We're moving into something that looks like maintenance. And I'm like, whoa. I don't know if the car's ready for maintenance. You better keep building it. But what I've found is I am ready. I'm ready to move forward. And I will tell you, as I just did tell you, and I think I cut myself off, which I have a tendency to do, but I work the steps continually. Either the steps or the traditions all the time. I'm in one or the other. And the reason for that is because it has produced a cycle and a flow in my life where I am constantly evolving and I am constantly finding new levels of freedom. It's no longer because I think I'm bad and I need to take tabs on me to keep me good. It keeps me free from the disease of addiction active in my life. And as a result of that, I get to get freer and freer and freer. And it's not always pretty and it's not always cozy. But whoever thought, I mean, you guys, like if I use my physical body as an analogy, like growing into a greater body is going to have some growing pains. Stuff's got to stretch. I mean, I remember, and I'll close with this, but my nephew, I love my nephews. I talk about them all the time, but one of them's a super picky eater because he believes that he only likes snacks, aka candy and like those little snack packs of like cookies and the peanut butter sandwiches on the Ritz Bits. And so if you put something in front of him, such as a piece of chicken doesn't really taste that much, y'all. He knows he's not going to like it because he already decided. And so I watched this video the other day of him. They went to Japanese and tried to give him one piece of chicken. And you can tell on his face before it goes in his mouth, he's not going to like it. And he puts it in his mouth, he's 5, and spits it back out and says, that was horrible. He watches a lot of Garfield. And that was my life, living within the confines of active addiction. And what Narcotics Anonymous has done is given me a little maybe. Like a little maybe, just a little bit of a willingness and an open mind to say, all right, I don't know. I mean, maybe I like chicken. Maybe I don't like it today, but maybe I'll like it in 5 years. So I'm grateful to this program, to this fellowship, to this committee, and just to be clear, there's like 400 subcommittees of the committee who's doing this event. It is radical. So for anyone who's just an attendee, you never have to use again. If you know that, awesome. I'm glad we're on the same page. And if you feel alone in any way, because I know this is virtual and we're all looking at each other, but I'm not holding Teresa's hand next to mine. I want you to know that there are people surrounding you that you can see and that you cannot see that are hugging you and believe in you, and I am one of them. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing, Mary Quinn. Y'all come and thank her for sharing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience, strength, and hope. We really, really appreciate that.
Quinn. Love you.
Mary Quinn.
Yes, we love you.
Mary Quinn.
Thanks, Mary Quinn.
Yes.
Thank you.
And our next speaker is Jeff S., and he's coming from, I don't know what that is. Look, I'm going to say Slakana. But he's very well capable of telling you his own story. And so our next speaker will be Jeff S. Come on down, Jeff.
Hey everybody, I'm an addict named Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
So it stands for Savannah Low Country Area of Narcotics Anonymous. Hey, I'd like to thank the convention, man, for inviting me to come and share. I was actually pretty nervous too, even though y'all can't reach me or touch me, y'all can't get me. I was feeling a little bit nervous though, but hey, I appreciate the opportunity, like I say, to be able to just come and share a little bit of my experience, strength, and hope with steps 8 and 9, and my process and journey through recovery and Narcotics Anonymous. I'm going to just take a brief moment to invite my higher power in, and we'll go from there. Okay, hopefully I've got myself out of the way. So the journey through the steps for me have definitely been a personality changing experience. I'm kind of unused to the way the screen looks. I'm so big on my screen, it seems unusual. But anyway, so I had to do a lot of spiritual preparation. How long have I got? What's my cutoff time?
Now, we have 25 to 30 minutes.
Okay, about 4:25 or something.
Yeah, something like that. 4:45, something like that. 4:40, something like that.
You can click gallery view and you'll be smaller too.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Gallery view. That's what I want to do because, man, all I can see is just like my huge picture on the screen. So, hey, I'm still kind of self-conscious, y'all, even through the step working process. Because guess what? This is a process for me. And sometimes the program working in my life, I know when the program's working in my life, when I'm not just thinking about using all the time, you know, to have the obsession to use lifted from this addict is truly a miracle. So it's proof that the program works. And like I say, some days, that's all I get is just not having the obsession to use. I can still act out. In fact, I had an episode today. I was like, man, I wonder if I'm sure I call it an outburst. I was working in my shop, and I'm real critical of myself when I'm a skilled craftsman. I weld and fabricate, so I can be very critical of myself and the work that I produce. And I still have that perfectionist attitude in a lot of ways. So anyway, I had a little outburst with myself earlier, so I'm glad that I get to come on here and kind of share about it. Hopefully it'll help me get out of myself. You know, that's what sharing does for me. And participating, you know, in service work, being of service to the fellowship. Service is a huge part of my recovery. So anyway, all right. So steps 8 and 9. Here's what I'll say about that to kind of get into it is I had 3 failed attempts at working the steps. So
this your man right here.
Come.
So what caused those failed attempts was being spiritually unprepared in the step working process. I never could work the steps thoroughly. I never did in my first 3 attempts work the steps thoroughly enough to get spiritually prepared to follow up with the next step. And so each time, usually it was about step 3 or 4 that I gave up and thought I'd, you know, try something different. Thought I'd try my way again. And I had proven that my actions had proved that my way didn't work. So here's my feelings. Here's how step 8 worked in my life, and here's how I can apply the principles in it today. Because for me, here's what's been really life-changing about the step working or personality changing about the step working process. So all throughout the steps, and I'll just share this briefly, is I learned to apply the spiritual principles in working each step, you know. So it was like the laboratory. I had to learn to use the spiritual principles just to work the steps first. And as a result of doing that, I gradually became able to apply spiritual principles in my daily life. But I had to learn to do it through the step working process first. You know, and it was something I'd never been able to do. One thing I ever knew to do was use. That was how I dealt with life, feelings, or anything. You know, people, places, and things. As to use some substance to change the way I feel is how I handled that, because I didn't know how to apply spiritual principles. So here's what I remember about step 8. Here's something really, and y'all, I'm probably gonna come out of the literature a couple times. The literature is real important to me for a couple of reasons. For one thing, it helps me express what I wanted to say when I can't think about how I'm feeling. And, you know, that's what was important at the very beginning. When I started reading the literature, it would say things that I could identify with. And then I was like, yeah, that's how I'm feeling. You know, I can't say it in my own words, but this literature, this NA literature, this is my experience. This is how I'm feeling, exactly what it says. So I'm going to share this. And this comes out of the step working guide from like, this is like totally my experience with how I felt when I got to step 8. Because I was feeling exhausted by then. Man, I had already done all this self-examination. Went through the steps 4 and 5 and developed a really trusting relationship with my sponsor, which is hugely important. I will highly suggest that sponsorship is hugely important in the step working process. So by the time I got to step 8, I was like, man, I'm just feeling exhausted with this. More examination. Now I got to list the people I've harmed and how I harmed them. all over again. I thought I went through that stuff in step 4. And I told a bunch of stuff in step 5. So when I read this in the step working guide, here's how I can identify with the literature. That's what it says. Last paragraph, page 71 says, some of us may be feeling a bit weary at this point, especially if our sponsor had us do extensive writing on the first 7 steps. We've inventoried our behavior in step 4, and we cataloged our character defects in step 6. Now we have to examine the same situations from yet another angle. I was like, man, that's exactly what? Okay, but guess what? I had some willingness. I learned to use some willingness, man. Step 1 helped me with willingness. So here's that spiritual principle that I'm learning, you know, that I've learned through the first step, just some willingness that carries on, you know, through to the 8th step. So anyway, that's just kind of my experience with how sometimes my experience is so much what the addicts that wrote our literature. It's that identification piece, man. I can just feel that total connection by the addicts that came before me that wrote our literature that I can identify with so well, when I may not be know how I'm feeling, or I might not be able to put it in words. Okay, so for me, it's all about, at this point, it was, step 8 was about achieving more freedom from guilt for me, by being willing to take responsibility for my actions and list the people that I had harmed. That was here. There it is again. Responsibility is a spiritual principle. So I'm learning to apply some responsibility, making that list, you know, and some of that stuff was, some of it I could use from my 4th step. But here's what I learned also with the guidance of my sponsor was the list I was making was of people who I owed amends to, not people who I thought had harmed me. So I had to learn that separation, because I could get really caught up in, you know, well, look at what they done to me. I ain't putting them, you know, why I want to put them on the list, because look what they done to me. And here's how that works in an addict like me. Resentment starts creeping back up, you know. And what I do, here's the thing, here's my experience. How'd I deal with resentment? I got high. I couldn't stand that feeling. So I used something to stop the way I felt about that, or make me feel some way different. That's how dangerous resentment is for this addict. So it was also helped me take a look at the relationship with people, you know, by listing the people I had harmed and listing the ways I had harmed them. It helped me with awareness of my relationship with people. And that's a huge part of like my journey. That's like my reference point in my journey through the steps. It's all these levels of awareness, man. All these levels of awareness. You know, the previous steps, I was becoming more and more aware of my place in the world, my part in things, my past behavior. So by step 8, my awareness was really coming up, you know, to how I fit in, you know, in the bigger picture. Because what it was, I was having this subtle change, this subtle shift away from self-obsession, and didn't even know it. I started thinking about other people, you know. I started having compassion for other human beings. And I didn't even know that was happening. You know, I don't know, probably somebody else said it. They're like, man, how could you think about being so nice to somebody like that? You know, to done that. I was like, well, must be Narcotics Anonymous. Must be them steps they told me to work. Okay, so anyway, so it raised my awareness. I was able to separate the harm. I was willing to identify how I had harmed people. And a lot of it was painful, y'all. I had to list them people, and then I had to write down how I had harmed them people all over again, because I'd done been thinking about it, for years, not trying to numb it out with dope for years, how I harmed all them people. And then I had to write it down, man, and look at it again. So spiritual preparation was really important for this addict to have the faith and trust in a higher power to be able to do that. So there were some strange things about step 8 also that I can identify with in the literature. There were some instances where I caused, and it talks about this in the step working guide. There were some instances where I caused harm and don't remember the names of the people I harmed. Like when I was 16, man, I had my first DUI. I had a wreck and hit somebody head on and injured them in a car wreck. Here's an example of how I caused bodily harm to somebody early. You know, my active addiction went on for a long time. I heard somebody else sharing about that, and I can totally identify with that. I used for a long, long time. And so here's how the guidance and the step working process, or the step working guide, helped me. It just asked me to list the incident. If I didn't know the people, just list what happened, how you harmed them people. You know, I had a wreck and hit them head on. And I know like 3 people got injured, including myself. So that's also an example of how I was causing myself and others bodily harm from the disease as a result of the disease of addiction, because I was impaired. I was driving impaired, and it was totally my fault. So I always looked at harm as like some kind of physical harm. Here's a reference as a result of the step working process that I was able to acknowledge how I had actually caused emotional harm to somebody. It was my grandmother. So I played football in high school, and she was going to come to the first football game that she had ever been to. She was going to come to the game. And so the Friday before that, or that week, like on Thursday, I got caught with an illegal substance at school and kicked off of the football team. Here's how drugs played a part early in my life, man. I'm in high school, getting caught with dope and getting kicked off the football team, suspended from school too. So I had to tell my grandma, no, I didn't tell her. I had to get my uncle to tell my grandmother that I wasn't going to be playing in that football game because I had got kicked off the football team. And man, that was painful for me to acknowledge that, actually, because I know how painful it was for her. This is about how I learned to acknowledge the humanness in others as a result of how I harmed them and how that caused her emotional pain, you know. So I never thought about placing myself on my 8th step list until I thoroughly went through the step working guide and the other literature. You know, I use 3 pieces of literature, man, when I work the steps. The basic text is like my favorite because it's really simple and easy for me to process the information. The how and why was really helpful in the step working process for me, because my thing was, when it asked those questions in the step working guide, and you know, our literature says it's the companion book to the step working guide. When it asked those questions, some of them I wasn't sure how to answer. So I had to go back and read and check the experience of other addicts to see how they processed the information and answer the questions. And then I could go back and answer the questions in my own words, you know, after seeing how somebody else done it, using somebody else's experience to help document my experience, I guess, if you'd say that. So yeah, the basic text, it works how and why, and the step working guide was like the 3 pieces of literature that I used to help me in the step working process. So anyway, I was able to go ahead and complete my 8-step list and put myself on the list because I caused myself a lot of bodily harm. I caused myself emotional harm. I guess what I'd say is that acknowledging the spiritual principles that helped me get through the 8-step, honesty was a big part of it because I had to honestly list how I'd harm people. Courage was a huge part, and you know, and it says these in the step working guides: honesty, courage, willingness, compassion. And so it was like, it was a big move for me toward achieving freedom from guilt just by making that list, because I had taken some responsibility in my life to do something like meaningful and to help myself, probably like for one of the first times in my life, because a lot of my decisions were just made by default, or I could just con and manipulate people enough to get what I wanted without having to really take any responsibility hardly at all. So anyway, that's my experience with the 8-step. It got me spiritually prepared for the 9th step. Here's something out of the basic text that's really important. It says from the very beginning, it says this step should not be avoided, or we run the risk of a relapse. But that happened in one of my failed attempts. I never could get to the 9th step. And I relapsed because thinking about all them people I had harmed was just too painful. So, and I wasn't spiritually prepared enough to get through that process. So the 9th step was like a big opening for me. It offered me a way to deal with the past, which was something that was really hard for me. You know, just another reason to use to try to numb out all those feelings. It took a lot of spiritual preparation in the previous steps to be able to get to the point of working the 9th step. Faith in a higher power. You know, this is where my connection with my higher power really started paying off for me, to have some faith and trust that I could go through that process no matter what happened, you know. I remember when I was in the 8th step, I would kept kind of thinking about the 9th step, like, dang, I wonder when I have to make amends for that and try to right the wrong, how are they going to react? Will I ever be able to make amends for that? And you know what? Literature tells us there's some amends that we just will not be able to make. That's some acceptance right there. That was true, you know, because some people were dead and some were unreachable. So something I learned too also through the process was that at some point I was like, making amends was sure, it was for other people, you know, to try to repair the damage and harm I had caused to other people. But here's that awareness part again. The awareness came in when I started realizing, and the literature started talking about, and other people's experience started telling me that the amends process is for us more than anybody else. It's funny, I think in the basic text it says amends helps us with our guilt. Amends helps us with our guilt and others with their anger. You know, it lays it out pretty simple in the basic text. So, you know, so it is guilt, you know, we want to feel good about ourselves. It says that in the basic text too. Talks about timing being really important in that process. By not running out there too quick and trying to make amends when people weren't ready to hear my shit, you know, because I harmed a lot of people in my addiction. And something else that come up through the 8th and 9th step was I harmed some people in my recovery. and have had to make amends, you know, with clean time. We make amends to the best of our ability. It's not up to me to determine how well my amends will be received. That was always like one of my biggest fears, that it wouldn't be received well. And you know what? Some wasn't, you know. Some people kind of rejected my amends. But guess what? It relieved me of some guilt, whether it helped them that much or not. One crazy thing about was I was expecting some of the people that I made amends to, I was expecting them like to take it more seriously. You know, I was pretty daggum serious about, you know, trying to correct this wrong, letting you know how sorry I was. And, you know, they was like, oh, don't worry about it, man. We knew you was doing that anyway. I was like, well, dang. They didn't take it serious enough for me. So, but I was okay with that. I was able to practice some acceptance around that. It was just my observation. So changing behavior is also a big part of the amends process for me. You know, the literature tells me that. My sponsor, he shared his experience with that also, is that it's not repeating the harm that I had caused. If it's like to where I have to make indirect amends, the way for me to do it is to change my behavior and not repeat the same mistakes, not harm people in the way I had in the past. Give back to society, actually. Hey, just sharing my recovery with other addicts is a way that I can give back, you know, to my community. I am involved in service work. So I started to acknowledge a lot of spiritual principles that was apparent in step 9. You know, the ones that list in the step working guides, love, humility, and forgiveness. I started to recognize I guess it helped me start to recognize my own humanness, because I could see the humanness in others. It greatly increased my capacity to forgive, because others were willing to forgive me, you know, through the process. So it also helped me to be a lot less likely to get resentful to people. I guess it helped me to understand the human experience. Like, you know, used to, if somebody was acting some kind of way that I didn't like, or I thought they was bitter toward me, all I could see was the face value of that. I was just looking at that person, how they was acting, and would hate them, you know, and get really resentful over how they were acting. I never could look beyond their face value, how they were acting, to the actual human experience. I never could sense their humanness, because I've experienced in recovery people who were acting bitter, and I wasn't sure why, but I was able to tolerate that. And then later on, I learned that, you know, they had like someone in their family had like a serious mental illness, or someone in their family had died, or they had some catastrophic event that was going on in their life, you know. So I was able to have compassion for that human being without even knowing that that's what was going on, you know. That's how recovery has changed my life. Because before, well, I would have just got high over it, you know. If you wasn't acting the way I wanted you to, I'd have just used more dope, you know. So humility is a big part of it too. It's like when I had to look at my part in the harm I had caused other people, it definitely encouraged me, or it definitely prompted me to start getting humility, applying humility in my life to others. So what all this has done for me has helped me achieve a lot of freedom from self. And it's a process, y'all. You know, the literature talks about step 9 being a lifelong process. And we will never be through with our 8-step list. But you know what? I'm okay with that today. I'm willing to continue in the process because I know the change that it's affected in my life. It's allowed me to function as a somewhat normal human being today. Now I'm gonna shut it down after that, y'all. I'm gonna read one thing out of the how and why because it's like my experience. Here's the literature sharing my experience one more time that I'm gonna close with. And it talks about the freedom. This is the freedom that I feel in my life today as a result of step 9. As a result of working the 9th step, we are free to live in the present, able to enjoy each moment and experience gratitude for the gift of recovery. Thanks for letting me share, y'all.
Thanks for sharing, Jeff. Y'all come off mute and thank Jeff for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for sharing your
Thank you.
experience and hope.
Did a good job.
Thank you.
A lot out of that.
Good stuff.
We have a few more minutes. If anybody would like to share your experience, strength, and hope, we got a few more minutes. This meeting's not over till 4:45, so we have a few more minutes. Anybody, just raise your hand if you'd like to share, and I'll call you to share. Alina, you have 3 to 4 minutes. Alina.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for putting this together. It's been an incredible day. Thank you, Jeff, so much for your share. When I got to the 9th step, my mama and I had some real serious issues. She was mentally ill and she refused to get into any kind of self-help or recovery or any of that. And my sponsor said, you clear your side of the street. You never mind about hers. Her stuff is between her and her God, and you leave it be. And so I prayed about it. And I'm like, this was like the hardest one for me. And at the time I worked in a desktop publishing center where I had customers coming in via phone and people walking in, and I had a coworker there. Well, this one Friday afternoon, the whole place went silent. My coworker worked a half day, the phone stopped ringing, no customers walked in, and here comes my mother. And I feel that hand on my shoulder saying, now's the time, you got this. And my mom, you could tell when she was there and when she wasn't there. There was like eyes, you could look at the eyes. Sometimes she was there, sometimes she wasn't. And on this day, my mom was fully there. And I looked into her eyes and I saw her and she saw me. And I was able to make complete amends from my side of the street and never mind her stuff. And when she walked out of that center, I felt a freedom and a happiness like I can't even describe it. It was just like somebody took a huge weight off me, off my heart, and just sent it out into the heavens. And I am just so grateful that she and I had that precious moment. And just anyone who's struggling with this, it will happen. I mean, Creator will put the right people in your life at the right time, in the right way, and will give you the courage and strength you need. And I mean, for this weed, the universe pulls out all the stops. And if you want it to happen, my personal experience is it will happen in amazing ways. That's all I got. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you for sharing, Elena. King Kurt, you have 3 to 4 minutes.
Recovering addict named Curtis. Grateful to be here. Thank you all for your service. This is a great shindig. This is wonderful. It's a great shindig. This is how we do it. Thank you, Jeff, for leading the share, man. Man, you said, oh my God, you said a whole lot of stuff. One thing that stuck out that you said, I just kind of remembered that, Prior to this process, 8 and 9, right? Man, I had a lot of reservations. I had a lot of preconceived notions, even after having a few steps under my belt approaching that step. You know what I mean? And I still had a lot of hurt. I was still, hurting on the inside, blame. Yeah, the pressure was relieved off the pressure cooker, but still, it was only the beginning. But what I found out now, after continuing to peel the onion, Jeff, what I found out is 8 and 9 is about me being accountable and responsible. Accountability and responsibility. Period. No justification. None of that old, like before, Jeff, I was blaming everybody for everything. Hey, if you wouldn't have did this to me, I wouldn't have did that to you. You did it first, so I just got you back. Hey, 8 and 9 says now, Curtis, with all of those principles, we're going to bring them all forth together. Bring them with you to 8 and 9, because if you don't, you're going to pass over something with a minimum of concern. You're going to be blaming people, for your crap. What part did I play in it? That's what 8 and 9 is getting me to look at. What part did you play in it? What needs to be done? Do it. Do it, Curtis, And today, it's a brighter day. Today I just fall on my sword, Jeff. I fall on my sword. That's it. You know what I mean? Hey, none of those rationalization, justification, those days are gone. I'm not using drugs. I can't blame it on the drugs anymore. I'm not high. I said it because I said it, or I got in my feelings. And there's no excuse for those two things anymore. This just allowed me an opportunity to practice humility on a level that's so spiritual that, it's like, man, it's so spiritual to forgive self and other people. And it's better to understand than to be understood. And, it's okay to be scared walking into these 2 steps, knowing that you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what they're going to say, but I got a higher power that's going to get me through it. And a sponsor. Now, don't forget about my sponsor. It's going to get me through it. So anybody that, ain't clear on this step, hey, keep coming. I acknowledge that 1 minute. Keep coming. Do the work. Practice the principles of the program. Listen. Time out, Curtis, for rationalization and justification. Now that you know the program, Curtis, just do the program. You ain't even got to feel it. You ain't got to understand it, Curtis. Just do it. And I find out that I have less problems when I just do it, because it don't matter how I feel and it don't matter how I think. And of course, sometimes that's easier said than done, but I get better results. And that's what counts. Results is what counts in recovery, right? So I'm grateful. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, man, for a simple message, clean message. And thanks for allowing me to share.
Thanks, Curtis.
Thanks for sharing, Curtis.
King Kurt.
It's time to close the meeting. Can you put that reading back up for me, Z? All right. We want to thank Mary Quinn and Jeff for coming and sharing their experience, strength, and hope with us today. It's been a wonderful, wonderful meeting, workshop. At this time, we would like to close the meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer for those who care to join. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's for today. Great meeting, guys.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mary Quinn. We up next. Rolling.
Yes, I'm hopping out. Hopping over.
Yeah, me
Love
too.
you all.
I'm
Hey,
glad to
Hey,
hear who that
Gwen.
voice is. Say that again.
Y'all
this
in a
is Win
minute.
and Gloria.
Hey,
Hey,
Chloe and
Edwina and
Edwina. Hey, Bridget. I
Gloria.
seen you too.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello,
family.
hello.
Thank you, Jeff.
Stop
Okay,
sharing, Z.
we'll be
Oh,
back for the 8 o'clock meeting.
good. Thank you,
Okay.
sponsor. I swear I'll be needing direction. Stop
That's all
laughing at
right.
me, Mike. Mike, you took a quick nap, man.
It wasn't that quick.
All right, I'm rolling over to the next one. I got 2 more to go.
Y'all in a minute.
All right.